Hi, friend. You're in the right place. This is the Beauty in Burnt Toast. Life gets a little messy, faith gets real, and hope shows up when we least expect it. Guests pull up a chair to share their stories, the good, the hard, and the how did that even happen moments. So grab your coffee, maybe some actual burnt toast, and settle in. This is the Beauty in Burnt Toast. Welcome back to the Beauty in Burnt Toast, where we talk real faith, real life, and the things most of us are dealing with but don't always say it out loud. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Jana Lovelace, and she is a licensed clinical psychologist, business owner, wife, mom, and Jesus chaser, here to help us trade exhaustion for intention. Her career spans military psychology, medical psychology, private practice, and executive coaching. Known for her blend of empathy and challenge, she helps clients navigate life's hurdles and intentionally build lives marked by purpose, contentment, and fulfillment. In addition to her clinical work, Jana is the third generation owner of Dumas Floor Covering, her family's long-standing local floor store, where she also met her husband through that line of work.
That is true. Multiple benefits there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
She also leads a growing health and wellness business with Bravenly Global. I'm sure you have all heard of that recently, where she helps others improve their energy, confidence, and overall well-being so they can show up as their best selves, which goes into a lot of what we're talking about today.
Yes.
With deep experience in both counseling and coaching, Dr. Lovelace offers a unique blend of clinical insight and practical real-world strategies, empowering individuals to live their best, most meaningful lives.
That sounds pretty good. Let's do that.
I'm going to get tongue tangled on all the psychology stuff. Yes, awesome background. And perfect fit for this subject, I think.
Yeah.
So tell everyone a little bit about what drew you to psychology.
I think I always had one of those personalities, even as a kid. Like I was kind of the advice giver. And so I just felt comfortable in that role. But I will tell you that when I was at Alabama and I was doing my undergrad, I was pre-med. And I had to take a psychology course. And I was none too thrilled about that. I was like, this is a soft science. I don't put me in a lab. Let me dissect something. And then I took one course and absolutely fell in love with it. And I truly sort of got the impact.
Yeah.
And so I fell in love with it and changed my major that semester. And
what was it about that class that you fell in love with? Is there anything specific?
I think human behavior has just always fascinated me.
Okay.
And knowing that so much of our behaviors are just habits. And whatever is a habit was learned.
Yeah.
And we can unlearn that in a really powerful way. And so that just stuck with me. And I saw the gravity of sort of the subject and how you can really change lives that way.
Yeah. Human behavior is very interesting.
Fascinating. Fascinating. I have a different day and a different experience with my patients on the daily.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about having the same thing every single day because that is not going to happen.
That is true. Yeah.
Well, so tell us kind of just a little bit about your other business. I know you said especially Bravenly was like a passion of yours.
It is.
So
Yeah, I think it just fits well with my passion of helping people show up and helping, especially moms. Like we're all, I mean, who isn't? Like we're all tired.
What? No.
Right? And over it, so fatigued, energy. This is sort of the season of life after we have babies.
Yeah.
Our hormones are often out of whack. We're not sleeping as well.
Well, this season too, the holiday season, it's
Right?
just like, what day is it? Where am I?
Yes.
Who else do I have to buy for today?
Right? That's right. Yes. And so stress supplements, we have things for inflammation. We have things for gut health. You know, your gut is your second brain.
Yeah.
And if our gut is a wreck, which if you live where we live and you breathe our air and you eat our foods, your gut is a wreck. And so we just don't get the supplementation and the vitamins that we need. And so to help our brains and our guts and our bodies feel better, to help us have that extra little bit of patience. Supplements are really important. And so I've for sure found the value of that in my own life. And just when I don't have energy, it makes me also like a second level of irritable.
100%.
Right? Because I know I'm not doing and not showing up in my best way. And so it's sort of a cyclical effect. And so for me, Bravenly has really helped with that.
Okay.
And has really helped with that clean energy. All energy is not good energy. Those Alanis and monsters and aren't always the best for us. But I get it. Like, no shame. I'm not throwing shade. I get it.
No judgment here.
That's right. So finding some natural things was important to me.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into a little bit about your life and how you decided it was time to slow down a little bit.
Man, okay. So I'm wired to go. Like I'm wired to do all the things and to do all the things at a 10, which is probably not helpful, right? Like I always tell people, if you're on either side of whatever spectrum, it's probably not great. Like middle and balance is where, like that's where like true sort of life and being able to enjoy all the things is. And I enjoy going and doing and being on 10 all the time, but it's not good for us. And so we'll talk about that some today, right? But I learned that lesson really clearly in 2017. I had a brain bleed, like total Jesus moment that I'm even here. But God had been telling me for a long time, you know, God wants our obedience. And sometimes we're pretty stubborn, and I'm really stubborn. I don't get that still small, gentle nudge that people get from Jesus. That's my fault, not his. But I get like a brain bleed. And so my husband jokes about like Jesus had to whack you upside the head to like make you slow down. But I had a brain bleed in 2017 that really sort of changed my perspective on exactly this and on living a hurried life rather than a fulfilled life. You can't live both. Like you can't live a hurried life and a fulfilled life. And I was living a hurried life. I had all the things, like I had a doctorate, I had a great job. I was a psychologist for the Army in a civilian position. I had 3 kids. We had a teenager, a toddler, and an infant. At the same time, it was a lot, but so much fun. It was a lot, though.
Did they tell you what caused the brain bleed?
No, I was training for a Spartan, which was something that I had done before. I was doing nothing that I hadn't done before. I was out on a run with a group of ladies. We were all training together. And I had, like, it's all the same symptoms that you hear about, like that crazy, like you don't have to worry if something's wrong. You know it's wrong. Right, like it was a crazy headache, dropped me to my knees, like all those classic symptoms. And so, but God had been telling me for a long time that I needed to slow down and that I needed to open a private practice to help me be able to sort of slow down, to work 3 days instead of 5, to be able to get my kids out of bed in the morning. I was having to be at work before they got up. My kids were looking homeless every day for school because their daddy was getting them ready, which I was very thankful for, but I was missing a lot. And so that was sort of my moment that nothing will make you change your life like almost losing it.
So you better listen so he doesn't smack you upside the head.
That's right. Those small, gentle whispers, cue in on those, ladies.
That's tough. Well, let's talk a little bit more about why people don't slow down. Like, what do you think are some of the reasons that people just can't let go of that?
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for myself included, but for also women that I talk to every day at church, my friends, in my private practice as patients, I think we're conditioned to go and do and be all the things to everyone.
Yeah.
And we just, somewhere in there, we miss our priorities, you know, like everything becomes the priority. And you know as well as I do, like if everything becomes the priority, nothing's the priority.
Yeah.
And so figuring that out, I think we're conditioned to do all the things, be at all the things, be everything. FOMO, that's a huge thing, right? Be everything to everybody, which is not even, none of these things are even humanly possible.
That is one thing that God has really been speaking to me about recently, is just staying focused on Him and not looking around.
Yes.
So
And that's hard to do. I mean, there's a lot of distractions. We live in a world and a society full of distractions.
Yeah.
Right? And when we don't keep the first things first, there's always something competing for our attention. Always.
Yeah. Do you deal with clients that have issues with people pleasing?
Yes.
What do you think is a way to kind of hone in on that and,
Yeah.
I don't know, create boundaries
That's
from
the key
that?
right there. Boundaries. And boundaries are we could do a podcast every day for like 15 years on boundaries and still have plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, we're, especially women, I think we're wired, I think all of us are, but women in particular, like God wired us for a relationship.
Yeah.
But he wired us for relationships so that we would crave a relationship with him. Right. And so we get that a little bit wonky. And somehow that's sort of gotten twisted in our head where relationship means people pleasing. And that's not always the case, right? It's not ever the case, right? I mean, think of your most deep, fulfilling relationships probably aren't about people pleasing, right? Like, and if we,
No.
right. And so in the relationships that we have healthy boundaries, those are the ones that are our most fulfilling relationships, which usually don't involve people pleasing.
Yeah.
Right. But we're just wired for that relationship, and we get that sort of skewed, I think, at times. But relationships always should include boundaries. And when there isn't boundaries, everything sort of gets skewed. But that's really a self-boundary.
Yeah.
That's not about the other person, right? And boundaries aren't ever really about the other person. If I'm setting a boundary with you, it isn't so that you'll behave better, right? It isn't so that you'll do what I want
yourself.
you to do.
Yeah.
Right. It's for myself. It's literally the fence, the boundary around my okayness that I have an obligation to protect.
Yeah, and that's something that we have talked about on here before is, you know, you are who you spend the most time with. So if you're spending time with toxic people, as much as you have good intentions behind it,
It's contagious.
it's going to infect you in some way or another.
100%.
And that is something that I dealt with recently, just having to kind of let people go out of my life just wasn't healthy for me. And even my husband saw it. So
Yes. And, you know, I try to remind people too that if you, the boundaries get misconstrued at times, right? Because we want the other person, that's part of people pleasing. I want you, if I'm setting a boundary with you, I want you to understand why I'm doing that. And I want you to kind of agree with why I'm doing that. But that's not really a part of boundaries.
Yeah.
Like no is a full sentence. I can't is a full sentence. It doesn't require an explanation. If I value you, I would love it if you understood where I was coming from and if you could see my heart. But oftentimes when we have a boundary, if the other person understood that, we probably wouldn't need the boundary, right? And so an explanation and an understanding and an agreement of a boundary isn't required.
that's the hard part
Oh,
of
it
it.
is. It
It's
feels
like
harsh.
when you're creating that boundary, you're not saying like, I don't love you and I don't care for you. It's just saying that I have to choose my health and my family first.
Yes.
And this might not seem like it kind of falls in with slowing down.
Oh, man,
But in
it
my
does.
experience, those people that are so toxic just pull so much energy out of you. Especially for me in real estate. Like I have some people that are just like, you have to drop everything right now and come
you're on
meet
call
me
24/7.
And I had to learn, like, I can't do that. It's not good for me.
Right. And and it does go right along with this sort of series and what you're talking about, living an unhurried life. Because, you know, I think about like our energy, even our emotional energy is like a cup, right? Like I only have so much.
Yeah. Very little, actually.
Sometimes it's a baby cup.
Yeah.
Right. I only have so much. And if I'm giving at the end of the day, when I come home to my people, who are my priority and who are my God-given priority, and I don't have any left in the cup, then that's a problem.
That's why you need to pick your friends. Take a lot of time choosing who you're going to spend your time with. Like pick people that are going to fill your cup and pour into you as well.
Yeah, and not constantly pour your
take.
cup out,
Yes,
right? If your cup has holes in it.
What do you think? How does this kind of line up with the Christian world and church? And do you see people like experiencing a lot of burnout from that? Just, we're called to serve,
Sure.
but at a certain point, it's okay to say no at church. Like I know
It's
people
necessary.
who are like, well, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this. Like my husband plays drums every Sunday, 3 services, and they've been very gracious to him lately. But for the past few years, there's been nobody else.
Sure.
And he feels
Obligated.
called. Yes. Yeah. He's like, I got to do this. I got to serve. But I'm like, you've got to rest sometimes too, because that's a lot.
It is. And burnout is a huge thing, no matter if we're talking about real estate career, if we're talking about medical careers, if we're talking about drumming.
Yeah.
Like burnout is a huge thing, right? And it really is a boundary. Like that's what burnout sort of really is at the heart of that, right? And even decision fatigue.
Yeah.
Like that's a part of burnout, right? Like decision fatigue. So, I mean, by the time we're in car line in the morning, we've made 1,500 decisions, right?
Yeah,
with our
about that
kids.
time is when I'm like done for the day. Like I don't know what it is, but that 3:00 pickup, I'm like, yo, I need a nap. Is
Yeah.
it time for that?
Yeah, you're right. And
Yeah.
so that decision fatigue is part of burnout too, right? And recognizing, okay, I have, like no one else has that responsibility for me, right?
Yeah.
I have that responsibility that I have to slow down, whether that's breath work, and we'll go through tools at some point in our talk today, but I have the responsibility of using those tools, picking them up and using those tools to sort of reset myself. And burnout, remember that same spectrum that we've talked about. If I'm on one side or the other, it's probably not healthy.
Yeah.
Right? It's finding the middle so that I don't get completely burnt out and being able to be aware enough to recognize, okay, like I need to rest now.
I tell people these days I'm in my no era.
Yes.
So I need to get a shirt made.
Please be
in my
your
no
no
era.
era.
Do not ask me to do anything.
Yeah. And especially when you have littles.
Yeah.
I think being in a no era with everyone else is necessary so that you can be in a yes era with your kids.
You mentioned littles. Let's get into that. And you have people that do travel ball and are traveling to different states. They have multiple kids in it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how do you stay sane and have time for yourself and do all of that?
So, we have a 29-year-old and then who's my bonus. And we also have a 13-year-old and a 12-year-old. But I will tell you that 29-year-old, he was 13 when John and I got married. And he has been such a blessing to me because he taught me how quickly it goes. Like I knew by the time I had my biological littles, like, oh man, I have to savor every moment. Have I done that perfectly? Like, for sure not, right? For sure not. But John William taught me how quick it goes. And so I'm super thankful for that. But life is super busy, right? And yours are how old?
5 and 9.
Yeah. So you are the least busy right now that you will ever be.
Thanks.
Right. There's your therapy for the day. I'm done. She's never asking me to come back. So really, but I remember having that moment where before my kids were, like they were still in preschool, kindergarten, and having that moment, like, because my husband and I were talking about like, well, one day we'll be able to, and I was like, actually, this is the least busy that we're ever going to be. Right. And so, but every year that's also true, right? Until they fly the coop. And so I have 2 kids that play. I have one that plays school sports, one that plays travel sports. Like we're involved in all the things, multiple sports. Like we're involved in our church. I'm involved in our community. I'm in PTO. I own how many businesses.
So much.
Right. So much stuff. Yeah. Right. And I have to create that margin. Like that is my responsibility. And I often get it wrong.
Yeah.
And I have to really pray about that and really sort of seek, God's wisdom and discernment on, all right, what are my no's and what are my yeses, and really figuring out, one thing that helps me with that is I try to think about like my life in a pie chart.
Okay.
And every little piece of the pie chart is values. Like church is one, being involved in school is one. Sports are important to us. Like
Yeah.
my kids learn a ton of character things through sports. So that's important to us. My kids and my marriage and my Jesus are like the big three
Yes.
slices, right? But sometimes if you're looking at my life from the outside, it might not look like those are the three big pieces, right? And so really making my life look like my value system. And if I have those misplaced, if one of my jobs take up the majority of my time that week, then I know that I've got to sort of get that back in place. Like I need for that pie chart to look like my actual priorities, not where I'm just filling my time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that visual sort of helps me sometimes to realize, okay, like I'm out of whack. I got to pull it back to center with all of the activities that we're doing.
I think another big part of that is mom guilt, which we have
sure.
talked on that before. Do you have any practical advice to kind of like resetting that when you start going down that rabbit hole?
Yeah. I think keeping the first things first are just huge, right? Like, and setting aside some time for you to have your personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
I remember Liza Kate, my youngest, was probably 4, and I usually do my Jesus time in the morning, like that first, when it's quiet.
Yeah.
The only
that
time
the-
of
the
day
golden hour,
that
is
it's
that right?
quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And she came downstairs, and I was reading, and they're used to seeing me doing that in the morning when they wake up. And so I remember there was one day that I was particularly frazzled, and my 4-year-old, in all her 4-year-old wisdom, said, "Mom, you did not have your Jesus time this morning, did you?" And I was like, "Oh gosh, you know what? You're right. I did not." And so really figuring out that time and praying about that mom guilt, because we know too that if it comes in the form of confusion and condemnation,
Yeah.
and it's not from God,
Yeah.
right? That's
100%.
from the enemy, and it's a distraction, right?
Yeah. So you have your kind of like your top items that you do every day. And like those are your things, and
Those are
you
your
will not sway
non-negotiables.
from that. Yeah, non-negotiables.
Yeah, you have to have. I mean, if you don't have your non-negotiables, like your day gets
Yeah.
swallowed up, right? And you're like, it's 3 o'clock, and I haven't done anything important today.
So what do you do when you feel like your cup is running dry?
Yeah. I think, friends is a huge part of that, and finding friends that fill
The
your cup.
right friends.
That's
Yes.
right. Finding friends that fill your cup, not
Yes.
drain your cup. I think relationships are so important, and setting aside time. I think when you have kids, particularly kids that are very involved in things, or little kids, setting aside time for your spouse is hard.
Date night.
But that has to be one of those non-negotiables. It doesn't have to happen every week.
Yeah.
But it can't happen once a year.
Yeah.
Right? And that's hard. But finding things, and that's our responsibility to figure out the things that fill our cup, right? What fills my cup might not be the same thing that fills your cup. But finding those non-negotiables, and setting aside time for Jesus, and setting aside time for your kids, and making that a priority. That time that isn't filled with an activity.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about some negative effects of overdoing it. Like, what can you see health-wise from not slowing down?
So that hurried life wrecks our nervous system. And so for one, our cortisol is like through the roof. The cortisol is that stress hormone. So when you're stressed, it goes, ours is probably like pinging like 15 times a day, right? And cortisol really is implicated in a lot of things. It's implicated in inflammation and chronic illness. I mean, it's even implicated in heart disease, and like big deal things, right? Not feeling well, like big deal things. And so getting that cortisol down, our body, when we're living that hurried lifestyle, is constantly in fight or flight. And that fight or flight was meant for like life-threatening
Yeah.
situations, not
So
for
you're
a
just kind of
chronic.
continually elevated.
Yeah, it's meant because like the saber-toothed tiger's chasing me in the caveman
Maybe
days,
that's why I'm
right?
tired all the time.
Yes, right. It's that saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's meant for those like moments where I need to run. I don't need to think about, do I need to run?
Yeah.
Like I need, right? There's a tiger chasing me. And so, but we're not built, our nervous systems is not built to be chronically pegged out with that. And so, but that's what that chronic sort of flight or fight does. That's why we're tired all the time, because our bodies ran a marathon all day with stress. Like you can be sedentary and your nervous system feels like you have ran a marathon.
Yeah, well, and that's what I tell my husband all the time. It's like I feel like I've done a full body workout, but it's all mental.
Absolutely.
Like it's
yeah. And that
exhausting.
mental tired is so much more fatiguing and exhausting than like physical tired.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the decision fatigue, right? That's a huge thing for moms, that decision fatigue. And when we are constantly hurried, it also changes the way we breathe. And so we breathe in a
don't
way.
breathe.
Yeah, or don't breathe. That's right. And we breathe in a way that actually perpetuates anxiety versus not. And just the anxiety, while we're talking about that,
Yeah.
Anxiety and depression are absolutely a contributor, right? And it's a cyclical thing, right? So even with mom guilt, so the more hurried I get, the more anxious I get, right? The more anxious I get, our typical way of dealing with that is to do more, do better, right? Which, like, it keeps the cycle going. And then we get mom guilt, and then okay, do more, do better. Like, and it just keeps it going in this cyclical thing that we really have to figure out sort of how to break, but it's really the awareness that I'm doing it, right? I can give you a million practical tools that you're like, oh yeah, of course. Yeah. But it's figuring out in the moment, like, okay, I'm in this cycle. Like I have to stop this.
Like you know what you're supposed to be doing, but
That's
doing it is
like going
the
to the gym.
problem.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like me. I was even telling my mom today, like I have all my Christmas stuff out, like I'm almost done.
Yeah.
But there's still boxes, and I just every time I walk in the house, I'm just like get an eye twitch because I don't want to deal with it. But I just can't sit down. I have a really hard time.
Well, and sometimes I can't sit down because when things like that are happening, because it feels like a to-do list is staring me in the face, right? And I will put things on my to-do list to cross them off.
Yeah.
Like I'm one of those, right? Like I don't love things unfinished.
Me too. Yeah.
But I have to also keep the first things first. Like I can't tell you how many times like I tell myself that on a good day that I'm telling myself that I'm recognizing. Right? Like first things first. Like, is it more important for me to put these boxes up, or is it more important for me to have dinner in an unhurried way with no, girl, I feel you. Right? Like I'm going to take the tree down like on the 26th of December because it's a to-do list staring at me.
Yeah.
Right? But I also have to remember like, okay, first things first.
Yeah. And that was a video that I posted the other day. Just for moms, like you see people putting their trees up after Halloween, and I'm like,
guilty.
It's okay if your tree is not up.
It's so
because I'm looking around, just like, oh, I wish my tree was up, but it's okay. You've got too much to do. Like we cannot do that right now. You got to take a step back.
Yeah, and I'm like I would put my tree. I love Christmas. Like I would put my tree up like early October if I could. But
skip Halloween.
That's
Halloween
right.
doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it really is recognizing, okay, but the to-do list is never going to end.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you put those boxes up, but there's going to be something else.
Yeah.
Right? And so the to-do list isn't going to end. So it's our responsibility to navigate it and manage it well.
Yeah.
But it's tough.
I don't even like the words to-do list. It just gives me anxiety just thinking about it.
Right? Yes.
So let's get into what changes when you slow down.
Everything.
So what for you specifically, like when you had the brain bleed and you're like, I have to make changes, what are some of the things that you did?
So I think it's really hard, and any change is hard, right? Like we got into the unhealthy for a reason, right? And so I would also say therapy is an important part of that,
Yes.
right? Like, because we've got to figure out, I tell my patients this all the time. I am less concerned with what you're doing. I'm more concerned with why we're doing that.
Yeah.
Right? Can we figure out why you're overcommitting? Like, because we feel like we're not valuable unless we're doing. Like, is that where we found our identity? Like, are we afraid people aren't going to like us if we're not meeting all of their needs? Like, why are we doing what we're doing? And figuring that out, I think, is a huge part. And then when you do, so hopefully you don't have to have a brain bleed to figure that out. But when you do start to sort of slow down, I think God also is so good to remind you of like, oh, this does feel better. Like, okay, my kids are connecting with me more. Like other people, your kids, your husband, the important people also respond differently to you. Like you will see it.
Yeah, well, I mean, also when you're just hurry, 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 even your voice can be like elevated in the way you're talking to your children and or screaming at your children.
Yeah, right.
Just
and
saying.
people notice that, and your people, your important people, notice that. And you'll, I mean, it changes relationships. Living a hurried life is not conducive to relationships either, right? It's conducive to superficial ones, but not like the going and doing ones, but not the deep ones that we want, and for sure not the ones we want with our people that live under our roof.
So I talk about therapy a lot on here and just how important it can be.
Yeah.
But from the mouth of a therapist, what type of people should be in therapy?
Any people, all the people, all the people. Life is so complicated,
Yes.
and life is going to life. In the middle of, at the beginning and at the end, like life is just tough. And life is made up of people who are all messy. I'm messy, right? Like life is made up of people.
And we are all sinners,
We
naturally.
live in a fallen world, right? We live in a fallen world where there is evil and there is good that is cloaked as it, right? So I think life is just complicated, and we get in the habit of thinking. You know, I talk about thinking a lot. I actually talk about thinking more than I talk about feeling as a therapist, because if our thoughts are wrong, our thoughts are the first part, right? It's thinking. I used to usually do this little diagram. So like it's thinking, and then there's a downward arrow to feeling, and then a downward arrow to behavior. Right. So it's thinking, feeling, behavior, and one sort of leads to the other. Right. And so if I'm thinking incorrectly, the whole thing is off. Right. And so that's when we get into mind reading or making assumptions, where then that makes us really anxious or depressed, and then we behave differently. And so therapy's biggest value, if you ask me, obviously I'm a cognitive therapist, but one of therapy's biggest values is helping you figure out your thinking habits. Yours are different than mine, right? Life experiences have taught us, conditioned us to think in certain ways, and that can't not affect how we're feeling. And so as a therapist, I want to make sure that people are thinking accurately. I could care less if you're thinking positive or negative. That's not the gold, right? It's, are you thinking accurately? Some things really do stink, and they're really hard, no matter how you flip it around, right? But I want you thinking accurately so that then we can sort of deal with it. And so the value of therapy for me is making sure that our habit thoughts are broken.
I just feel like so many people think that you literally have to be having like a mental breakdown or something to go to therapy, or something super awful or traumatic has to happen.
Yeah.
But I absolutely do not agree. No. I feel like you go to therapy so those things do not happen.
Well, yeah. And actually, as a therapist, oftentimes those crises are a barrier to get to the real work. Like if there's a crisis happening, we can't get to we got to deal with the crisis, right? First, then we can deal with like boundaries and who you are and your identity. But when there's a crisis going on, I mean, if your house is burning down, that's what we got to deal with. We can't deal with your people pleasing. That would be inappropriate, right? And so really, when there isn't, you should definitely go when there's a crisis. But when there isn't a crisis is oftentimes when the real important life-changing work
Well,
can
and you're
happen.
giving people tools too for everyday life.
And for the
So,
crisis.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah. So if you have those in advance, when a crisis happens, it might be just a little bit easier to get through.
Yeah, and I often have patients that are sometimes frustrated throughout therapy because there's a constant, those people, there's always a crisis, right?
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh. And so
The people that you need boundaries.
that's right. The people that we don't need as friends. So, but those are the ones that do get frustrated with therapy. And we have to have a conversation about this is why we're not getting as far as we'd like, because there seems to always be a crisis,
Yeah.
right? So when there isn't a crisis is a great time to go to
Well,
therapy.
I think that falls into accountability too,
For sure.
because you're never going to get anywhere if you don't recognize that you have to make the changes. Like
That's
other
right.
people can't make those changes for you.
Yeah, which is also an important part of relationships. If you do not have friends who can tell you, girl, wrong direction. Like, can we talk about what you just said? Or why have you been in bed for 4 days? I'm coming to get you. Let's wash your hair.
Yeah, that's huge.
Right? And having a therapist that will tell you, like, I'm a really directive therapist, and everybody doesn't want that. I'm not for everyone. But having a therapist that will be real with you and tell you, okay, can I challenge you on that a minute? Like, I care enough about you and about what's going on with your life and about your therapy journey that I have to be honest with you and tell you what I see.
That too, because I have heard so many stories of therapists like sugarcoating things.
Right.
And I'm like, how does that help you?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, I feel like it harms you more than it
doesn't.
helps you.
Right. Yeah. It allows you to stay stuck. And
Yeah.
my clients might be frustrated that I'm going to tell you the truth sometimes. I mean, the truth's hard to hear sometimes, right? Like, I don't like to hear it either sometimes. It's
But
pretty
the truth
vulnerable.
will set you free.
It is, and it gets you unstuck. Yeah.
Freedom.
That's what it's all about.
Yes, it is. Well, let's talk about just some practical tools that
Yeah.
people can use to really calm down, slow down, reset, all the things.
Okay. So first, I would say one that you can use anywhere. Like, we can use it standing in the Walmart line, which we probably should.
Especially in the holidays.
That's right. That's right. We can use car line, like, or in your bed when people are like, we're overstimulated, right? So breath work is super important. The best thing I think about breath work is that you can literally use it anywhere. It doesn't have to be in a dark room where you can sit Indian style with your eyes closed, right?
I mean, that's my closet.
That would be
I'm
great,
like, if
but-
mommy is in her closet and the lights are out, do not come
Do
in.
not disturb. Yeah. And that's not always practical, right? So you can do breath work while you're cooking, while you're in car line, whatever.
Carline's great because you're stuck there for a while.
Right. It's true. It's true. I get a lot of stuff done in car line.
Me too.
But the important part about breath work is really there's two things. It's the exchange, so that you are breathing in your nose and you're holding it for a moment, and then you're breathing out your mouth, like the in and the out. And that sequence is important. It sort of heals us from the inside out. But then also that you're breathing from your belly, not your chest. When we're breathing from our chest, those short, shallow breaths, that actually makes us more anxious. And the other part is where your thoughts are while you're breathing. Like, if your thoughts are on all the things that you need to do, or let me hurry up and do this breathing exercise so that I can move on to the next thing. Like, that's not going to be helpful.
So what do you try to think
Right.
about?
So I think about actually, and I have patients do this, like, I will put a hand on my chest and a hand on my belly so that I can, like, have a tactile, okay, I'm doing it right. Like, it's coming from my belly, and it centers my thoughts. Right. I'm going to think about, like, the breath going in my nose. So I think about sometimes, like, smelling the flowers, breathing in my nose, and blowing out the candles.
You're just focusing on what you're doing. That's
focusing
all you're
on-
thinking about.
Yes. And so that's also called mindfulness,
Okay.
like, where I'm really present right now. I think so many times as part of a hurried life and as mom life, we're thinking about a million different things.
Yeah.
And so really settling those thoughts and being very present is super important. And so, you can be mindful. It's just a way to be super present. So I'm thinking one way to do that is your senses, right? So we've all heard of that, like, name 5 things you can smell, 5 things you can see, 5 things you can hear. We can do that while you're washing dishes. Like I'm thinking about the bubbles. I'm looking at like that hologram, like, I'm thinking about the temperature of the water. There's nothing magic in that. What's magic in that is giving your brain a little bit of space and a little bit of margin. It's not the dishwater. It's just giving your brain a break.
Yeah.
Which we all really need. And those two things, mindfulness and breath work, do take a little practice. And so the first few times you're going to do them, you're going to be like, Jana is full of it. This does not help at all. But once you do them and your body is like, oh, wait a second, we're doing something here.
Yeah.
Your body sort of catches on,
Yeah.
and it becomes sort of the kind of natural rhythm when you need it. And you'll find yourself breathing mindfully, doing a mindful thing without really being conscious of it, And so that's helpful. Breathing and mindfulness is helpful. Boundaries is so important. There's a book called Boundaries.
Yes, Mel Robbins.
And there's one actually that's Cloud and Townsend with a red pencil. That one's good too, though, Mel Robbins. There's one with a red pencil. That one, there's a boundaries with teens, boundaries in the workplace, boundaries
I think
in
I've read
marriage.
both of those. Yeah.
So that is a staple in my practice. Like I probably don't have one patient that I've not recommended that book to. So that's really important. And then delegating things. Oh man, that's something that we have a hard time doing.
It is hard.
Yeah. But figuring out that good enough really is good enough. I'm a recovering perfectionist, some days more recovered than others.
I think that's just a mom thing, like perfection, OCD, and Pinterest does not help any.
It doesn't, right? That's right. We're all looking for a Pinterest-worthy life.
Yes.
But really figuring out that good enough really is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. And what's perfect in my mind is probably not. And yet, like, it's a total fallacy anyways.
Yeah.
Right? But good enough really is good enough. And good enough is not being a slacker.
Yeah.
Like, it means good enough. Like,
So my husband and I learned early in our relationship, if we're going to do something together, like a project, like I'm one, just eye it, get it up there.
Go with it.
It's good. And he's like, no, we have to measure. We have to use the level. We have to do all. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to leave the room right now and let you do it so we can stay in this marriage and I don't strangle you.
That's right.
So,
yeah. Expectations.
Yes.
Setting our expectations. Yeah. And I think the other part that I would say that's a tangible tool is not carrying around things that aren't yours. We all kind of have this backpack, right?
Yeah.
That like God issues you or something, this backpack. And your life experiences are in that backpack. The good, the bad, the ugly, right? But when you start putting other people's stuff in that backpack, like your backpack is custom made for you.
Yeah, that's good.
Right. So that means you can't put everybody else's trouble and everybody else's things in there. It means you can be kind and compassionate. But when you start taking other people's problems on and putting them in your backpack, you can't carry your backpack anymore. It's too heavy.
So how do you separate those things? Like, how do you be there for someone but not take that on?
Well, this is going to seem overused, but it's really boundaries. It's really that self-boundary of, okay, I have a responsibility to myself and to my people. And if I'm carrying around, at the end of the day, if I'm carrying around all of my patient stuff, which is easy to do, right? If I'm carrying around all of my...
You'd be crawling on the ground.
Right. And I would have zero energy left for my kids, right? For my husband, for the relationships that are mine, that God gave me to shepherd, right? And so I can care, but I have to have that boundary, that threshold of when it becomes unhealthy caring and when it becomes enabling, really, right? Because that's the other problem. If I'm carrying around everybody else's stuff, it's too heavy for me, right? But then the other person isn't carrying their stuff, and that's not helpful for them, right?
But again, like you said earlier, it takes practice.
It takes
like you have to start small, and at some point, it becomes a little more natural for you to do that.
But it is uncomfortable at 1st
Mm-hmm.
because we're not used to anything unfamiliar is not comfortable, right? But because it's unfamiliar, people say that all the time with boundaries of, I can't do that. Like it feels mean, it feels selfish, it feels harsh. And it does, because you've always done the other thing. You've always had a poor boundary.
Yeah.
Right. And so we can't wait for a boundary to feel comfortable. It isn't going to.
Well, and you need to recognize too when somebody that you're trying to pour into and help is not willing to help themselves. Like
Yes.
that's been a huge thing for me lately, is just realizing, like I said, when you've got to just let that go.
And that's the backpack. Like that is literally learning to not put their stuff in my backpack, and learning that some people are more committed to the problem than they are solution, right? And I can't be working harder on your life than you are.
Yeah.
I can't be more committed to helping you figure this thing out than you are. That's a boundary.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and we can see how, though, if we don't have that boundary, that the unhurried isn't going to happen.
Yeah. So what did we say? Let's go through it again.
So we said breath
Breathing,
work, mindfulness, delegating, like good enough really is good enough, and then boundaries.
Flashing lights.
Yeah, right. And then that backpack.
Yeah. And during the holidays, I know boundaries are going to be so hard because you're going to be in the room with Uncle Bob and Aunt Susie, and they're going to be talking about all the things, and you're just going to have to go in a quiet corner and do your breath work.
Yeah, and holiday expectations are hard. And recognizing that your people that live under your roof, like, it's not selfish. Like, this is actually the people that God gave you to shepherd. Like, it's literally your responsibility from him, right? And so keeping those first things first. It's so not easy, but it's worth it.
Well, so I want to get into, as we start to wrap up, I always ask for people to talk about a favorite verse that has gotten them through. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, interesting that it's that we're talking about being unhurried. So my favorite verse is actually tattooed on my arm. This morning when we sat down, you so nicely said, "Okay, do you have your verse?" Like, as a reminder, and I'm like, "Yes, it's tattooed right here." So actually, mine's Psalms 46:10, which is "Be still and know that I'm God."
Yeah.
And I got that, and actually under it is the date of my brain bleed. Because that is when God not started teaching me. That's when I started responding to his teaching me of being still and recognizing that I'm God. And I think when we're talking about that unhurried life, that really is the foundation. Knowing that I can't do it all. Like, I'm human. Like, I can't do it all. I can't, make these relationships exactly what I want. I can't make my kids do exactly what I want.
Definitely not.
Right? I have a free-spirited one. I can't do it all. And sometimes at the end of the day, I have to just know that I can't, and that he can, and that I'm going to be still and let him be God. And I'm going to step back and just do what he tells me to do. Just be sort of discerning in that.
Surrender.
Surrender.
How do you think listeners can possibly actively apply that verse to their lives?
So for me, we talked about it at the beginning of this, so we're sort of circling back, is being really aware. I'm wired to be on go. I'm wired to be a little anxious.
Yeah.
But I also know that, man, the enemy uses that, right? And so I don't know if I've heard so many times the saying, like, if the enemy can't make me sin, he's going to make me busy, which is so true, because it takes my eyes off of Jesus.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I'm busy doing all the things, right, then my eyes and my focus aren't where they should be. Not only are they not on my actual priorities and that pie chart of my values, but they're also not on Jesus. And so
I guess that's why those non-negotiables are so important. Yeah.
Yep, that's right. And those sort of solidify when the world's going chaos and crazy around us, which it's gonna, right? Life is gonna all around us. If I have those non-negotiables and I have that surrender and I have that daily reminder of myself to surrender, because that's not the way I'm wired, then that's a pretty good start. Yeah. Huge.
Mama ain't easy, and the holidays aren't easy.
That's right.
But we see you, and hopefully you can use some of these steps to kind of get through this holiday season and learn how to unhurry yourself a little bit.
That's right.
Do you have any final words that you would like to share with everyone during this holiday season?
I think this sort of topic and theme is perfect for momhood, but also the holiday season. But I think I'm hoping that people can just sort of put this on repeat in their head and those tools and recognize. I think the biggest thing is also recognizing don't don't mom shame yourself like when you aren't using these tools. That it's a journey, it's a journey. I mean, I teach people to do this every day, and I still have to remind myself when I get it wrong.
Yeah.
And that's okay. We're going to get it wrong, and we're going to get it right.
Find your people and just let it all out.
That's right.
Don't hold it in.
That's right.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
It was
fun.
awesome. Yeah. I just want to remind you that you are not behind.
That's right.
Rest is holy, and sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is sit down.
That's right. Yes, very true.
Please, if you liked this episode, share, leave a comment. If you need prayer, please don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you for joining again on the Beauty and Burnt Toast. Bye, guys.
Bye.